So a very good evening to all my dear friends. Today we have yet another topper from 2023, right? Ayush is one of the right student who has topped the examination in this year's NABARD result, what has been published. So before we delve into all the things, the strategy of Ayush and how he made into the final select list for this year, my heartiest congratulations to you, Ayush, for cracking this examination.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Good. So, Ayush, if you can just give a brief introduction of yours, that in which stream you have graduated, right? And after graduation, what you have been doing, and what has motivated you to just prepare for this organization, that is organization related to rural development, because you are from engineering background. So, how the things went on?
Yes, sir. So my name is Ayush, and I have lived in a rural area in Bihar. It's in Rohtas district, and I did my schooling from model school. It's in my district only. Thereafter, I did my graduation from BIT Mesra, Ranchi, in a production engineering stream, which is a sub stream of mechanical engineering. Thereafter, I started working in Hindustan Zinc Limited as a assistant manager. It was an on and off because of actually because of my health issues. Uh, there was some problem in the industry, and during the job only I started with UPSC preparation. I gave first UPSC attempt in 2019. I gave I gave two BPSC, then two UPSC, then two RBI. I failed in I failed in all BPSC attempt. I failed in all UPSC attempt. I failed in both RBI attempt. The only prelims I had qualified is NABARD and one SEBI.
Okay, so that's quite an interesting thing. Ayush has told frankly that he has given RBI, he has given BPSC, he has given UPSC, but anyhow his luck was not over there, right? Because his destiny was written somewhere else to serve the rural India in the coming year. That may be one of the reason. But one another thing we can see over here is that you should not get demotivated. Somewhere the destiny is fixed, right? You should keep on trying. Who knows that where you will get settled down, right? And where Ayush has settled down, definitely he will enjoy his career over there, because NABARD is one of the reputed institutes all over India. So Ayush, you have given last year also this examination, right? As you said, you didn't get into last year. You have given this year also. So what are the changes you have made? What you have observed last year, that what went wrong for you, and how do you improvise the thing, and what went right for you in this year? If you can just tell the student, those who have failed this year, so how they can motivate or how they can prepare for the very next year.
Yes, sir. So actually, I worked in all the sections. For example, last year I missed by 1.25 marks, sir. And like when we start preparation, we think that okay, this chapter is not important or that chapter is not important. For example, agriculture extension. So generally, what we do is that this chapter is not that important. But when you miss by 1.25 marks, 1.25 means that you have just missed one objective question of one marker, not even two markers. If you have you would have marked one marker, you would have qualified. So I get the importance that I have to read each and every chapter. I have to give importance to each and every chapter. I can't just give importance to 6-7 chapters. Yes, those 6 chapters are important, like animal husbandry, plant and horticulture, cropping patterns. But I have to give importance to everything. So in objective, I gave importance to keywords, sir. For example, in this year also, they have, even when they were like 12 to 13 lines paragraphs, even last year, they were big paragraphs, but they have given some keyword, like 1 or 2 keyword that, okay. For example, this year, during that solved question, during that soil question, they have given one hint that it's a breakdown. So many people have marked salinization, but it can't be correct because it's an accumulation, not breakdown. They have correctly marked that it's a breakdown. So one has to very thorough with the keywords, that if it's a breakdown, it would be solidization, not salinization, not alkalinization. So I marked on these keywords only, that I have to concentrate on these keywords if I have to qualify this year. In objective, I gave importance to keywords. I make my own notes for all the 12 chapters. Each and everything I have made my own notes online, that I will read all these things before the exam, before the mains exam. In English, sir, actually I failed majorly because of English, because I got 55 marks. If I would have get 56.5 or 56.25, I would have qualified. Because and my mistakes were horrible last year. First thing, so I didn't able to see the word counter. So I was I was counting each and every word, like okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it was very hectic, like for 300 for this one, then Prezi, then letter. Then in letters, actually, sometimes it happens. Like what I have seen many people, like when they give English, sometimes they deviate slightly from the topic, like not much, but slightly from the topic. For example, in later last year, there was a question on furniture that you have to write to the customer support that you have got the wrong furniture. And the reason is there is a wrong mismatch, like the sizing issue is there. They have specifically mentioned that there is a sizing issue, not anything. They have mentioned that there is a sizing issue, that it's not the correct size. What I had written there is that there is a manufacturing default. So like I got this thing this year that I have to concentrate on each and every word what has been asked. I can't just write manufacturing default and I would expect, okay, I would get 60 marks or 62 marks, something like that. So in English, sir, I gave like 5 to 6 marks, proper 6 marks. I used to give like proper 3 tests, like this is one of the major mistake I did last year, sir. That when I used to write English, now I used to write one essay. Then after 2 hours, I used to write one précis. Then after 2 hours, I used to write one letter. So what happens that, sir, when you write a full length test, you get a sequence that okay, you give essay, then you have to concentrate in the letter. You have to concentrate, make your concentration in précis also. So this like this phase of concentration, this will only happen when you give full length test. So I gave this importance that I will give full length test. I will give all the 5 or 6 tests which I have, and English. And then in descriptive, sir, I majorly, like last year, sir, when I was writing answers now, like there was a question on Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, and that was the first question. And I started with the wrong year, that this scheme was started in 2015. So I thought that if an examiner is there and he saw my first question and first line, that the year is wrong, so he will get a wrong impression. So I thought that this year I will concentrate only on the correct thing. If I know, then I will write. If I don't know, I will just avoid. And this year, sir, I was writing all the like the keywords. Like if there are keywords, na, first point, second point, third point, I was writing all the thing in a proper capital letter. Like in UPSC, what happens, sir, that if we want to highlight something, we generally underline there that this is the keyword. For example, there is a forward backward linkage. We are writing forward backward linkage. We used to highlight, we used to underline in UPSC. We can't do the same thing in here. So what I used to do here is that I used to write in capital. I will not write in block letter. I will write in capital letter. So the examiner will concentrate. Okay, this is the thing where he is trying to concentrate. So these were the things, and I made a keyword notes also, that forward backward linkage, farm to fork, structural transformation. So they were like, I had around 84 keywords, and they were covering each and every topic. So that if a question will come, I can use those keywords directly in the exam. Like people know, if you will ask anyone, they will know what is backward forward linkage. They know what is farm to fork model. But during the exam, when you have the issue of time, the issue of everything, you have to concentrate. So if you remember those keywords beforehand, you can directly use there in the exam. So and then I make notes of committees and also committees and facts. They were different notes of committees, like they were around 12 committees, and they have been covered from PRS and different websites and everything. Like I used to go to PRS. I used to click on Agriculture Ministry. There was a sub-column of Agriculture Ministry. And after clicking on Agriculture Ministry, there were 8 to 10 committees which have been formed recently in 5 to 6 years. And they have given some recommendation, specific recommendation. I remember that I mentioned Hukum Dev Committee, and they have mentioned about APMC, that all those Grameen agriculture markets, all those 22,000 Grameen agriculture market, they have to be excluded from APMC, and how they have to be upgraded. I mentioned that committee in that rural marketing question in descriptive this year. That Hukum Dev Committee has recommended this thing or that thing. So I used to go through that website. I used to make my own notes. So there were 12 to 50 notes, even for like Ashok Dalwai committee. So I mentioned that there's a 7-point strategy. I used to remember those 7-point strategy. What are those specific 7-point strategy? Like I can't just try to write here and there. If I can write a specific keyword, exact keyword, that will create a good impact. So this is how I worked on objective, descriptive, and English. And my interview was decent last year. Like I got 35 marks, which was actually like highest last year in Patna RO. But I thought that 35 would not be sufficient because people were getting 40 marks, 44 marks easily. And those who have qualified, like I've seen the rank list, I've seen that, okay, those who have qualified, they were getting around 40, 42 marks. So I worked on each and everything that if I have to, like what I did mistake last year, sir, na, that for HR question, I was like, I will just say anything. Like if they will ask why you want to join NABARD, I will just give here and there point that I want to work for rural area, etc., etc. This year again, sir, I made notes that okay, I would say exactly 6 points. In that 6 point, I would try to add either one example of my district, of my state, or there would be some quote. And it was a second question only, sir, that why you want to join NABARD. So I said specifically that like they were the 4 points I want to like work for rural area because my vision is aligned with NABARD's vision of fostering rural prosperity. So I was very like I made my notes and I have learned those things. So I was able to say the exact thing. And then I mentioned one J.R. Chintala sir quote that if NABARD finds no parallel in the world in terms of its scale, mission, spirit, and ethos. So and that's why it would be a very honorable job for me to work in NABARD.
Right.
So HOD ma'am, like she got very happy that okay, like she said good. So I got that okay, my interview is going in my line only, so I can like concentrate around my line only. So this year I worked on HR question also that I can't just take for granted those HR questions. They are very important. Like what happens now, like in UPSC, they are like it's a 45-minute, 50-minute interview.
Right.
So there is scope in 10 minutes interview of like NABARD or RBI. Each and every word which you are speaking, every word is important because it's a very short interview. It's hardly like 7 to 8 questions, and you have to concentrate that okay, you are using a proper example. And I think, sir, this year I gave I think around 15 to 20 mock interviews. Like I used to give it to my friends and all, and I have given you to you too. So I concentrate on those things that if like what I used to say that mock interviews in coaching institute, they have to check your knowledge, but first you have to like develop your weapons. So to develop my weapons, I used to practice with my friends only. That they used to take my mocks, and then they used to like do the add-ons. For example, they make me one good habit that if I am like detailing anything or giving some proper definition, I will add one example of my district or my state. So it happens in interview also, sir. When ma'am asked what is climate proofing, so I gave the exact definition because it was my notes that it's the integration of sustainable development with development projects. And I added one example by myself without asking by my ma'am that, for example, ma'am, there is a Ahar Pine system of rainwater harvesting. And this is one example of climate proofing because rainwater harvesting can be done and climate mitigation can be provided. So I got this habit that I will add one example. So I did one example of each and everything they asked. For example, sir asked me about production investment versus production versus credit. Production versus investment. What is the difference between production credit versus investment credit? And actually, sir, this question I got from PYQ and it was mentioned in your channel only. For example, what I used to do now, I used to go to your 2022 and 2021 PYQs of interview. And I used to practice those questions, not just see the question. And I used to practice those questions. Okay, I am reading the question and I used to practice on phone or something. And I remember this question, production credit versus investment credit, was in your channel in December 2021 interview group. Like it was asked by 2021 interview people, not 2022, 2021 interview people. And he had mentioned that he was being asked about production credit versus investment credit. So I made my notes, proper notes, what is the difference, what is the example, and I added everything. And when he asked like what is the difference and what is important, what is importance, so I again used keyword because I have prepared that thing beforehand. So I mentioned that investment credit, it will have a multiplier effect in the economy. So if I would have said something around that, okay, it will add capital, those are correct. Those are absolutely correct. But if I'm mentioning some keyword that it will have a multiplier effect in the economy, it will create a better impact to the panel. So this is how, sir, that's how I changed my strategy from last year.
Good, good, good. So the way Ayush has explained everything, I don't need to ask anything to him. From starting only, he has shared all the practical things, right? He has done to improve himself from the last year's attempt. And whatever he has said in a very practical aspects, what every aspirant should do, right? How he missed out there in the first attempt, what improvisation he has done, and look at his hard work and dedication he has put forward, looking into everything. As I always say, I used to the aspirants also, that do not believe in spoon feeding, that you will get some tailor made material, usko pad liya, right? That is okay, but one point of time to develop you, but you have to add on to your knowledge, keep on reading. As you said that you went to the PRS website, you have given the example of Hukum Sim committee from there. So student should always try to develop himself, right? If you'll not read through the original sources, at least write some point, that understanding, that way of writing the answers will not come. And definitely what Ayush has said, everybody should take into consideration how he has prepared, right? Prepare like that only. Definitely not only it will help in your selection, I'm quite sure that as Ayush has prepared, his rank will also be good in the coming days when the marks will be out. I am sure of this. You will get good rank also, Ayush, for the examination. My last question would be, because you have explained everything from start to end, how it went on, including English. See, English also, he said he did not write out of laziness, that he will attempt one question, then again next question. He tried to sit down, he tried to attempt all the questions so that he should be in examination mode, because examination you have to practice all the questions at a time. And he has done same thing only. If you'll be lazy today, tomorrow you have to pay anywhere, and those 1 marks 2 marks abhi sunne mein bahut kam lagta hai, it seems to be very less marks, but when the results will be out, you are in the waiting list, tab aapko pata chalega that 1 marks 1.5 marks, right, what it matters, right? So that's a very good thing also told by Ayush, that threshold tak, see NABARD, one thing Ayush is that in examination like NABARD RBI, right, getting marks till that some threshold, right, is very easy, and then increasing that 1 marks 2 marks beyond that threshold, it becomes very difficult. And if you'll not refine your preparation through proper revision, right, as Ayush has done, it is very difficult to gain that 1 marks 2 marks, right? Yes. So my last question would be, I will not take much of your time, what suggestion would you give to the future aspirants for this year? 3 mistakes they should not do, 3 mistakes in their NABARD preparation.
Yes, sir. First is, sir, I think, sir, notes making is very important. People generally avoid this thing, but what happens, sir, is that between pre and mains, specifically this year, like there were only around 15 days between
Right.
pre-result and mains. So if you don't have your own notes, it will be very hectic to read about
Right.
economic survey, budget, ARD, ASI, descriptive,
Mhm.
English. So if you have your own notes, it will be very easy. So notes making should be done by every aspirant, whether it's RBI or
Mhm.
NABARD. Second, sir, I think
Mhm.
we should concentrate on test series and full length test series. For example, and like people should remember, like what happens generally is that people think that okay, if I am giving a test series, questions should come in the actual exam also, which will
Mhm.
not happen, which will never
Right.
happen. Though test series are not made to like replicate the exact question,
Replication.
it's to just check your knowledge and check your patience and how you are getting. Sometimes question repeat. For example, I think sir,
Mhm.
I told you that I had the power play test series of
Mhm.
objective, and there was one exact question which came in a mains objective, that was that of cotton question, which was a PPP,
Mhm.
and I
Mhm.
marked that question wrong in objective because I had no idea. I had read the budget, I read
Mhm.
the economic survey, but I had no idea
Mhm.
about that particular thing. So when I made the mistake, now I note down that okay, cotton
Mhm.
this year in budget they have mentioned that for public private infrastructure,
Mhm.
cotton would be done, and it was asked, and
Mhm.
it was in 2 marker, not in 1 marker, 2 marker. So if I would have
Mhm.
made it correct wrong, it would be around 2.25 minus. So
Mhm.
everything which I we do wrong, like we should mention or we should try to find that where it was mentioned. It was, if it was mentioned economic
Mhm.
survey or budget, it's very important. If it's in a static,
Mhm.
okay, maybe there are chances that okay, this thing could not be like replicated. But if it's mentioned in economic survey and budget, it is important. And these are two things. And third, sir, uh, like we can't make something average. Like people what generally think that okay, we will make our objective an interview or English, that would be like
Hmm.
extraordinary, and
Hmm.
descriptive would be
Hmm.
like okay, just below average or something like that. But
Hmm.
it's a little brutal exam. Like I
Hmm.
got this
Hmm.
last year also, that I got
Hmm.
very like 37 marks in objective. I got good marks in interview also. I got good marks in descriptive, like 39
Hmm.
marks in descriptive. But just because I made some mistake in English, I was not
Hmm.
I could not be able to qualify. So
Hmm.
each and everything is important: objective, English, descriptive, and that. So you can't just say okay, I will just manage this thing and I will top that exam. That will not happen.
Hmm.
That can like backfire very badly in the real
Right.
exam. So these are
Right.
things, three things that I think is
Right.
important.
So one thing we can take out from this overall session with Ayush is that the crux of this session is that Ayush, you have to come out of your comfort zone. आपको खुद के notes बनाने पड़ेंगे, right? If you want to really get to selected, ऐसा नहीं है कि tailored, it's there at one point of time, but you have to practice, you have to write the test, you have to write with your own hand, you have to make online notes. You have to come out of your one right comfort zone for this 5 months, 6 months time frame. वो बहुत जरूरी है. That is very, very, very
Yes, sir.
important, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, Ayush, then best of luck for all your future endeavors in NABARD. Maybe definitely you'll work for the rural India to take it ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, good night. Good night.
Good night, sir.